big Rosh Yeshiva came to Rabí Ovadia, alav shalom. He told him, Kvod Harav, tell me the truth. How did you have such a zchut, such a merit? How did you inherit such a merit to have such a brain? You remember tens of thousands of books by heart, tens of thousands. If I can remember a single book, any book, even if it's 3 pages, by heart, I already feel like I got Olam HaBa. Tens of thousands of books. Can you count tens of thousands? Imagine 1, 2, 3, tens of thousands. A journalist came to his house one time after he wrote an article about Rabí Ovadia. He says, nobody should listen to him. He was already like 82, 83 years old. No one should listen to Rabí Ovadia anymore. He's old. He probably forgot stuff. So even though Rabí Ovadia never really paid attention to these reshaim, these wicked journalists, this one got his attention. So he invited him to the house, 82, 83 years old. He invited the journalist to the house. He says, you wrote in your article about me that I forget things. Where did you get that from? Did I say something wrong in my lectures you watch? He goes, no, I never watch your lectures. He goes, so where did you get it from that I forget? He goes, no, I figured you, naturally, Kvod Harav, with all due respect, you're 80 years old, you're 85 years old. You forget, people forget. Even more so when they get old. He goes, maybe I didn't forget. Can we check? Can we test it? He goes, no, Kvod Harav, come on, you want me to come out with another article, embarrass you even more after I confirm that you're a human being like everybody else? Everybody forgets, Kvod Harav. He goes, what do you care? You already wrote the article. Worst case, best case scenario, maybe you have another article, you write that you confirmed everything you said. What do you have to lose? He says, okay, no problem. He says, okay, you see the books here? He sees there's 60,000 books. 60,000. Some say 40,000. I don't really care what it is, even if it's 1,000. But it's not. It's something like, seriously, like 40 to 60,000 books. He didn't have walls in the house. There was no walls. It was just books. The walls, the books made the walls. Talk about bigger than a library. His house was a whole floor, just books. No walls. He says, you see those books? Pick any book you want. Just tell me the name of the book, the author's name, who wrote it, and the page number that you're on. Open it anywhere, the page number, and the first word. Now the journalist, who was completely secular, and did not know what Da'at Torah means, did not know who Rabí Ovadia was, didn't know anything. He just knew how to write articles full of lies. That's all he knew. He thought this is like a trick, and a joke. He's like, Kvod Harav, no, it's a joke. He goes, no, pick any book you want. So he climbed a ladder, looking for a book that maybe, for sure, had a lot of dust on it. Why? What's the dust part? If it had dust on it, that means for sure he hasn't read it in a while. If it's brand new, maybe he just read it now. So if he has a good memory, maybe he remembers it, or maybe it's a trick. But if it has dust on it, cobwebs on it or something, for sure he hasn't looked into it. So at the best case scenario, maybe he looked into it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but it's a while. So he went and he looked for something that's really like in the back. He took out a book, opened the book, said the name, said the author, said the page number, said the first word. After he said the first word, Rabí Ovadia, alav shalom, continued every single word for word, the rest of the page and the next page. He said, hold on a second, let's do this again. He picked another book, same thing, same procedure. Opened the book, gave him the title. Open the book anywhere. Told the page number, first word, Rabí Ovadia, word for word. 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, one after another. To the extent that the journalist wrote a new article, and he said, not only was I wrong, which I think is the first time in the history of mankind that a journalist said he is wrong. Not only was I wrong about him being forgetful, but his memory is not a human being's memory. He's not a human being. He's not like the rest of us, he says. Not like the rest of us. His memory, it's not for people. Regular people don't have such a thing. Even if you have a good memory, even if you have photographic memory, it means nothing. You know, some people have photographic memory. They look at something, they remember it. He goes, no, this is something else. Something else. Now he was born with a good memory. So one of the big rabbis came to him one day and he says, Kvod Harav, how did you merit to have such a brain, such chokhmah, such memory? He says to him, I go over my learning a lot. He says, Kvod Harav, I go over my learning a lot too. No, I go over a lot. I go over my learning. And he kept pushing and insisting and insisting. Tell me the truth, Kvod Harav. How did you do it? How did you do it, Kvod Harav? Please, tell me. I know it's not the learning. I learned too. Everybody learns, Kvod Harav. We're learning. He's not talking about the regular people. Talmid Chacham, Talmid Chacham, Talmid Chacham. Everybody, Talmid Chacham. He's not talking about the Amei Aratzot. He's not talking about the ignorant. Each one, Rosh Kollel, Rosh Yeshiva, Rosh Kollel, Rosh Yeshiva, author, this. Fine. It's Kvod Harav. Come on, no, we all do it. We went out, Rabí Ovadia. What did you do? After enough pressure, Rabí Ovadia says, you really want to know? He says, yes. He says, it all starts with your eyes. He says, I was a dayan, bedin, the av bedin, and part of my job was dealing with divorces. So unfortunately, many of the women would come to the court and it would be immodest. They would be immodest. Now me being the dayan, I can do whatever I want. No one's going to tell me what to do. I'm the dayan. No one's saying, hey, Kvod Harav, you shouldn't look. What do you mean? I'm helping her. Getting the get, getting the marriage, getting this, getting that. I'm helping her. He says, I never looked at these people. Never. He goes, so what would you do? The story goes is that Rabí Ovadia would look down and whatever the woman would see, he would ask her questions without looking at the woman, and whatever she would say, he would write. He would write. And everybody would follow him and see, he's writing. Wow, he's writing everything she says. Unbelievable. Such commitment. Such care. I mean, this woman barely knows the Aleph Bet, but he's learning. He's writing everything she says. Unbelievable. But then his children said, after he died, his children said, we knew who's the best boy in a day. Whoever was the best kid in the house got a reward. What was the reward? Abba would give us his drawing. So we asked Abba, we asked Rabí Ovadia, they asked their Abba, when do you have time to draw? When do you have time to draw? I mean, you're a dayan, you're a posek, you're a gdolador, you're a big rabbi, you're a teacher, you give lecture after lecture. When do you have time to draw? He says at the bedin. Why at the bedin? He says because when the immodest women come, I can't look at them. I have to watch my eyes. So I have to, now if I just look down the whole time, she'll think that I don't care what she says. She'll be offended by it. Chas v'shalom, to offend a bat Israel. So what do? I make it seem that I'm actually writing down everything she says. I don't need to write down everything she says. I understand what she's saying. I don't need to write it down. So I just ask her questions, and I'm writing, but in essence, really what I'm doing is I'm drawing. I'm drawing the picture. So she feels like I'm not disrespecting her, which I'm not. I'm paying attention to everything that she says, but I don't need to write down everything she's saying. So what do I do instead? I make the drawings for you guys. For years, they always ask, where did he get these drawings, those beautiful drawings? Where does he get them from? During the bedin. He says, why? Watch my eyes. Watch my eyes. Watch my eyes. How do we know? Where do we get this from, Rabotai? In the book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 19. Verse 39, I'm sorry. It says the parasha that each and every single one of you say every day. Every day. Which parasha? The parasha in regards to tzitzit. Parasha in regards to tzitzit, where Hashem speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he says to him to let the people of Am Yisrael put on tzitzit. This is you do as part of your Shema Yisrael. It It says, "Vayomer Adonai el Moshe le'emor, daber lebnei Yisrael, ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם." So this section, this paragraph that goes from verse 37, chapter 15, verse 37 all the way to 40 and 41, has a secret. What's the secret? The secret in verse 39, it says, "וראיתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני." Rabí Ovadia says, here it says, and you saw him, ראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני. If you see him, who's him? You see God. If you see God, and you remember all of his mitzvot. Meaning, if you're constantly acting as if you see Hashem, he's right next to you. You're not going to look at a woman, immodest woman. You're going to watch your eyes. Meaning you're constantly thinking, Hashem is next to me. I'm not going to look at an immodest woman. I'm not going to look at a woman that's not my wife. I'm not going to stare. I'm not going to misuse the eyes, the gift of eyes that he gave me. I'm going to see it as if I see Hashem all the time. If you saw him, you remember. What are you going to remember? Everything. You remember all of his mitzvot. What it says, that's the secret. You watch your eyes, you're going to remember Torah. You don't watch your eyes, you're not going to remember anything. You become a beeper. Erased at the end of the week. Erased at the end of the week. Waste of time. From here we learn that when Hashem said in Parashat Kedoshim, "Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani," be holy because I am holy. He wasn't just telling us to do something once in a while. He says, if you want to inherit my Torah, you must be kadosh. You must sanctify yourself. You must make yourself holy. How do you start making yourself holy? Look what it says in the parasha. Watch your eyes. Holiness starts with these cameras that you have. Starts there. If you keep looking at dresses and shoes and hats and wigs and the next door neighbor's house and the kitchen, there's nothing holy about you. But if you look at your kids and think about how can I help my kids become kedoshim, how can I help my husband go learn more Torah, how can I help myself learn more. You're looking at a Sefer Tehillim a few times a day. You're looking at brachot all day. You're looking at ways to make your family holy. You're going to be holy. But if all you're looking at is Amazon, and all you're looking at is a shtuyot, you're looking at the next door neighbor and more dresses and more wigs and more bags and more this and more that, there's nothing holy about you. Even more so on the men. Even more so on the men. If all you're looking at is your colleagues and the girls working in the office and your friend's new car and your friend's new house and the stock market and the television and the iPhones and the shmiphones and the bitcoins and all the shtuyot in the world, when do you have time to look at God? When do you have time to be holy? Kedoshim to you starts with your eyes, Rabotai. It starts with your eyes. Why? This is the door. This is the door to your neshama. If you want to learn your Torah, you must watch your eyes.